Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Buckeye Roast. Back at you on this Tuesday morning. Very early for me, not as early for Ron, but he's in here. How y'all doing? What's
Equally
good,
as
Ron?
tired, though. I promise.
just as tired a little later. I feel it. What's going on, man? Let me get my first shout out. Wayne was in here. Wayne was in here at 7:57. So y'all almost caught him. 2 minutes behind, but he gets the first super chat. First chat. So shout out to Wayne. Obviously, we got a lot for y'all today. We're gonna talk winners and losers. But Ron was on Bleacher Report yesterday. So Ron, give me a quick recap. How did it go? Go ahead and plug that show.
Yeah, me and Chris Drew were on Bleacher Report yesterday talking about whether or not Ohio State can run the table. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you download the Bleacher Report app and check us out in the Ohio State team stream. And if you're not going to watch it, still go download the Bleacher Report app because we will be in there all of the month of October. I think we have 2 streams a week for the next month. So make sure you tap in on the Bleacher Report app.
Yeah, make sure to do that. Also, tomorrow we have Fans Edge coming up, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and Dogs Film Room will be coming in. When do you know when that is?
We should have that ready Thursday. We will have Dogs Film Room ready. We had a little technical difficulty with the Western Kentucky episode. That'll probably be out in probably a week and a half. I got some editing I got to do around that one, but the Notre Dame game should be ready around Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. We will definitely be back with Dogs Film Room on Thursday for a complete breakdown of the game. I have not got to rewatch the game yet. I'm going to check out the all 22 after the game, but I cannot wait to hear what Dog has to say about this one.
Yeah, can't wait. So that's all the housekeeping I got. But make sure you like the video, hit the timeline, tweet it out, get somebody else in here who's not in here on this early morning. Let me know what y'all drinking. See, y'all got y'all coffee ready. Let me know what's in the cup. All right, Ron. That's all I got. You got anything before we jump into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. So I wanted to start with this. We touched on a little bit yesterday, but I want to talk about why is Ohio State viewed as soft so much on the field? So obviously we had Lou Holt's comments, but it's not just him. You've heard it throughout the summer. Ohio State is soft. They're soft. That's why they get beat. They're soft because they lost to Michigan. This, and that. So I want to ask you generally, just out there and the chat. Why do you think Ohio State is viewed as soft given the losses they've had in the recent years?
Because they lost to Michigan.
Strictly,
I mean, they have. I mean, those. I feel like there's 2 things at play here. Everybody thought Urban was a hard ass tough guy, and Ryan Day is your more caring coach. You know what I mean? Like you don't see Ryan Day as animated as Urban. You don't hear the stories about Ryan Day being super tough on players like you did under Urban. So I feel like the combination of the I guess mythical idea that they built up of Urban's toughness and then the loss of the Michigan and the way they looked. Because I mean, against Michigan, like Ryan Day said in his press conference, we have had one bad half, and that was 2 years ago up in Ann Arbor, and they did get physically dominated in that game, and that team did look soft. So I think the combination of the transition from Urban, who was known to be a tougher coach, and then to the and then losing to Michigan in the way that they did, I think that's why people view this as a soft team.
Yeah, because so a clip came out from obviously Dave's comments about Lou Holtz and all that. We talked about it yesterday, but a clip came out from Brady Quinn on his show, and he weighed in on Lou Holt's comments of what he said about Ohio State, and he was like, "Well, he's right," and I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I got to put Brady Quinn on the list of people not to listen to because it makes no complete sense." He talks about the losses to Clemson, talks about the loss to Alabama, the loss to Georgia and the loss to Michigan. Now, for one half in 2021, yeah, Ohio State was just they ran for 8 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards over and over again. Ohio State could never stop them. That's something to do with talent because the linebacker play, D-line play was terrible, along with the defensive back play. So it just wasn't a good team. But outside of that, softness has had nothing to do with any of those losses. I'm sorry, we lost to Clemson in 2019 because we were soft. We came out laying the wood. You talk about go rewatch that game and look at the hits that were going on in that game. And literally, the dudes on the Clemson sideline, former players, were saying Ohio State brought it. Alabama in 2020, who was beating that team? All of college football was soft, apparently. If that's why you lose to Alabama in 2020, they blew out everyone except Florida, who was probably the most finesse team they played all season.
Bro, and I feel like we might have been too tough in that Alabama game. We had fucking tough Moreland trying to cover
And four
Devontae Smith.
linebackers.
Pun intended. We had tough in our name.
Yeah, four linebackers out there hitting. Najee Harris said after the game, Ohio State was hitting. Yeah, Georgia. I haven't seen anybody talk about Georgia. The softness was the reason we lost to Georgia last. That shit just went completely out the window. Nobody has mentioned that, and this is the toughest team ever created, according to Georgia fans and college football. So, and then obviously the Michigan loss last year. Yeah, guys running open in the secondary is definitely a toughness issue. So I don't get it. Taking Brady Quinn again off my list of people to listen to that have any idea what they're talking about. It just got to go. But any quick thoughts on Brady Quinn?
Not on Brady Quinn, but I did see something funny in regards to Lou Holt's comments, and someone was like, "Is Ryan Day implying when he said where I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now?" They're like, "Is Ryan Day trying to fight Lou Holtz?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what he means. Like, he ain't trying to pull up on Lou Holtz. Like, clearly that was a message that they used inside the Woody to rile the troops, and a lot of them were like, "Where's Lou Holtz right now?" And I think they meant, why is he not talking? He had so much to say. I want to know what Lou Holtz has to say now. And everybody took that as like, is Ryan Day gonna fight him? And I mean, if he is, I got my money on my coach. I mean, do something about it.
That's there. Ryan Day was trying to pull up on Lou Holtz. Hey,
Someone was like, if Ryan Day tried to touch Lou Holtz, the whole 1986 national championship team would have to see them. I'm like, bro, I would say at least half of that team has had their knee replaced at this point. Like, I don't know how long y'all think ago that was, but I would imagine all of those men are in their near 50s, and Ryan Day has a full team of young guys behind him. So I would, if I had to put my money on like a warrior style street fight, I'm going with Ryan Day and the 2023 Buckeyes versus Lou Holtz and his 50-year-old national championship team.
Yeah, we got pads on too. It's a wrap for them. Ain't nothing. None of them punches is hitting.
Those old brittled hands against helmets would not end well.
Yeah, it's a wrap, bro. It's beating their ass right in midfield. But yeah, just wanted to address that because I thought that was absolutely insane. And this whole narrative on in the media is just insane. So I want to talk about that first. But yeah, man. So we're gonna go with the takeaways. We talked about the Notre Dame game yesterday. We didn't get to everything we wanted to, so most definitely wanted to jump into that and weigh in some more. Before we do that, make sure y'all like the video. Got 33 people in here. It's early. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, of course. But let's jump into it. So, Ron, I want to ask overall, coming into this game, obviously we had one perception of the team. And Chad, I want to know, did your perception change about this team after the game of what you thought we were before and what you think we are now?
A little bit. It did. I wanted to see how this defense held up against a veteran quarterback, and I felt like they answered the call. Like, they came in and did what they needed to do and were able to get the win. And I wasn't sure if we would see our DNs or our cornerbacks get exposed. So we've been hyping up Denzel Burke, talking about his return to form, looking like his freshman self. But even after Western Kentucky, I was like, I need to see it for one more week. And he went down there and shut down one side of the field. He only had one catch on him. Iggy, I mean, he had some bad plays, but overall, I mean, we talked about it. We knew what we were getting with Iggy. I mean, we saw the highlight tapes from camp this year that Iggy put out, and it looked like I wasn't sure if he was joining the wrestling team or the football team because he was just grappling out there. I was like, okay, this guy is a physical corner. So I expect pass interference penalties. And I mean, just the fact that we didn't let any explosive plays happen and like had more of a bend don't break mentality that instead of a crazed gambler, that really changed my perception because it gave me belief in this defense that I didn't have coming into this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My perception of the defense definitely was really. I thought they were very solid. I thought they would eat in this game. I didn't think. I keep saying it. Notre Dame had the horses to challenge us, and they really didn't for the most part. Besides the offensive line, so the defense definitely reassured what I thought they were. In some positions, I think we still got a little ways to go, and I'm thinking championship mindset. I don't know if this team is ready yet, but they don't need to be. It's only week 4. A lot of teams are not ready yet. So, but so far so good with the defense. Offensively, I thought we would have performed a little better than we did. I think we struggled a bit, but you saw the light with the running backs. I thought they played outside of Travion blocking. I thought they played pretty decently and kind of showed their weight in gold. Wide receivers, I think they got a little bit of a little bit of ways to go. As much as we rave about Zone 6, I think we some work to do there. So offensively, I'm still like, like you got me with an air feel. I don't know if we can just shoot out and quite win yet, but so far we've won and we got a couple weeks to fix it. So I don't know if this team is championship level just yet, but I feel like we're on the right path to where the things can get fixed, and it gives me a little bit of confidence there.
Do you think this team is prepared to win? Or two questions.
Yeah.
Is this defense good enough that we're not going to have to win a shootout at all this year? And if we had to win a shootout, do you believe in the offense to be able to do that? So like if we play a team where we have to score 35 points, do you think Kyle has that against a good team?
I guess I'll answer your. Is the defense good enough to where we won't have a shootout? I don't think so. I think a team that comes out with some dudes on the outside will still challenge us. I mean, Burke has clearly shown that he's stepped up, and he's not freshman season Burke. He's built on the end of my sophomore season Burke. He's a lot better player overall than he was 2 years ago. Though everybody goes back and say, yeah, freshman year Burke. Like, no, he got beat freshman year some too. He's gotten a lot better since then. So he's chasing that first round pick. But I think a team with weapons will still challenge us. And I don't think they were good enough to stop. Obviously, the pass rush, they had 2 solid tackles over there, and in the pass rush, we were kind of non-existent. So we got hurries, but not any sacks. So I don't think they're good enough to prevent a shootout just yet. Guys need to level up their play, and obviously we got to turn pressure into sacks, and then we might be like, okay, we might be able to avoid a shootout here. But offensively, I don't know yet if we can win a shootout. I know Chris talked about it yesterday. Kyle wasn't great. He came through in the end, but good Lord, I was pulling my hair a lot during the game. So still work in progress to do. Like I said, this team isn't on championship level yet, and I've been adamant that this is the season. But it's only week 4. We weren't at championship level at this point in 2014 either. So got to still ways to go. It's a little scary, but we got some games to settle in here and really jump. And that's what I'm hoping for the level up of this team. So next on that, I do want to jump into a couple points here. The linebacker play, something we wanted to talk about yesterday. We didn't get to it, but overall, what was your thoughts of the linebacker play? I mean, I kind of know what you're gonna say, but so everybody else knows your thoughts of the linebacker play.
All I'm going to say is for all of the people that were in our comments last week, that better be the last I hear about Steel Chambers on this show. And then all of the people like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Stop criticizing them. They proved you wrong. Our comment section is still open. Feel free to let us know how you felt about that last game, because the 2 lowest graded players on our defense were Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers. Everybody's like, oh, you guys don't think that Steele is good in coverage. Look at him. He's the number 1 coverage linebacker in the country. Whoever brought me that stat last week, please let me know where he ranks now after this game. Because even with that stat, we've been seeing Steel Chambers get dunked on already this season before this game. And then they continued to kill us and find soft spots in the zone. So I don't know what we can do to continue to elevate this play, but linebackers and coverage is still a problem. I felt like I anticipated a Heisman caliber year out of Tommy. And I mean, compared to last year, do you think that Tommy looks like the same backer that he was last year?
Uh, that's no, he doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if his responsibilities have changed, but it just doesn't seem like we're getting the same level of play out of Tommy that we saw last year. And I mean, still reverted to the things that we've talked about him struggling with for 2 years now. And everybody thinks that it's like, oh, you guys don't like him. You guys want CJ Hicks out there, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, just no. If you guys think like this is like personal criticism because we don't like the kid, I'm like, no, there's clear deficiencies there, but people have their scarlet colored glasses on that don't want to acknowledge them. And we saw that exposed on Saturday.
Yeah, 1,000%. The linebackers were awful on Saturday. I talked about it. I mean, we have our group chats during the game, and I was just like, we might as well just play with 9. They're getting washed in the run game, and there are liabilities in the pass game. And the problem is every time we come into these big time games, they're always the mark. Like people always know. I seen a guy on Twitter talk about, well, they schemed against the linebackers. That's why they didn't look good. It's like, yeah, they scheme against everybody who's not good because that's where your advantage is. And that's what you take advantage of. So of course they're gonna scheme against the linebackers. Tight ends are out there making highlight plays against Steel per usual. It's week in, week out. It's just like if this is the play, like and we complain and yeah, we hit for CJ Hicks, Sonny Styles, and all that, but you talk about year 3 of these linebackers, the biggest early game of the season, game where it comes down to a play or two, and you might lose. And the most senior laden part of your team plays the worst, where it's like, yeah, there's a reason I question that. Because you can put CJ Hicks out there, he can wash in the run game. Like he did that well, he'll learn from it and maybe become a better player. I don't know where we kind of go from here because I feel like this is what's going to happen. I feel like we're going to go play Maryland and we're going to go play Iowa and we're going to go play, I don't know, Rutgers. And the linebackers are going to look good because it's Maryland, Iowa, and Rutgers. And then we're going to get back into a big time game and they're going to be like, okay, we got tight ends. Let's go ahead and scheme them up. And we're going to be in trouble again. So I just don't know at the end of the day if this unit, the talent with the starting 2 is just good enough to win a title. I really don't.
I have a question for you and the chat. Is the best linebacker on this team playing safety?
I mean, yeah, he was. I wrote it down. I wrote down, is this a liability? And Sonny Styles the answer, and I believe so. Like I'm with Chris, like you said yesterday. I want to take Sonny Styles off the field, and that doesn't mean Steele and Tommy like you can rotate them in. I think Tommy is really really good in the run game. The last 2 years, he's been very impressive at shedding blocks, surely making tackles, and not having a lot of missed tackles. Like last time was the worst I've seen him in the run game. I was like, dang, okay, that went out the window. But the truth, I guess history tells you he's really good in the run game. So still, you can find a way to play him, but and steal and get effective out of them. But I can't have Josh Proctor and Lathan Ransom being my 2 linebackers, well, while also playing safety because they were coming up hitting. And I remember, gosh, I can't remember his name. It was a safety that we had that always talks in the media from the 2014 team. His name is escaping me. Tyvis Powell. No, Tyvis. No, not Tyvis Powell. Tyvis. What's his last name?
No, that's Tyvis Powell.
Tyvis Powell. Okay, I remember Tyvis Powell saying one time he was like he in the Michigan game had to come up and fill the lane one time, and like there was no linebackers there. He tackled a guy 5 yards down the field, and then he turned around, had to do it again. It was like, wait, hold up, like, like look, this is not a recipe for success here. Y'all need to get it together. I'd have filled this lane twice, and that was Lathan Ransom and Josh Proctor the entire game. So that just, oh yeah, you got some.
No, I was just gonna say I thought you were gonna summon the name of a safety that we saw making way too many tackles, and that was something that's been brought up a couple times after this game. Is you don't love the fact that your safeties are leading you guys in tackles, and that's a little reminiscent of the Bryson Shaw experience because they were either not getting tackled or getting tackled by Bryson Shaw as far as them just running through our secondary. So I don't love seeing that in the box score either. I would love to see our linebackers get more involved in the games and us be led by Tommy in tackling and not one of our safeties.
Yeah, it is a recipe for it's not a recipe for success here. So that is one of my bigger fears is that we're just gonna do what we always do. It was just a bad game. We're gonna turn around and then we'll be in the college football playoffs and linebackers are getting exposed and it might cost us. And it's just like, well, I told you this a year ago that these guys are reaching their ceiling and in the big time games they're gonna be the mark. So I do hope Sonny Styles may be the answer. And you can get play out of them, or maybe rotate them in, maybe rotate Hicks in for passing downs. Do something. I don't know. I can't do it no more.
Were you surprised that it seems like Cody Simon is the next linebacker in, regardless which linebacker comes off the field?
I mean, no, because Cody Simon got a lot of the hype in the offseason. I actually thought Cody Simon was, as far as the defense was terrible, but I thought he was a good player in 2022. And I felt like since 2022, he hasn't really had the time or the snaps to really get back to that form. I think that might be the best we see out of Cody Simon is what he was then because he popped in 2022. You talk about speed and just flashing and coming downhill and hitting people. He was doing all that. Got hurt at the end of the season. Tommy stepped in, and that was all she wrote. I mean, I guess it's trial by injury, I guess, because he went out, Tommy came in, and it's just been ever since.
Are you worried about linebacker play in the future? Because outside of CJ Hicks, it seems like we have the our linebackers that we have coming up are within the mold of Cody Simon and Tommy Eichenberg and Still Chambers, serviceable athletes, but not above average athletes. It doesn't seem like we're recruiting the elite athleticism and foot speed at the linebacker position. Is that concerning for you going forward for this team? Not obviously not this season, but in the future. And before I know it's coming in the chat, before anyone brings up Garrett Stover, I don't think he's going to end up playing linebacker. Like, I think he's going to be a safety. So go ahead.
Um, well, I would say, yeah. I mean, I've complained about the athleticism at linebacker, but that's just because I love guys returning kicks in high school that come and play linebacker. Obviously, there's not that many of those guys out there, so it's a little bit of a selfish want of mine. But I mean, you look at this roster, and you have what, 4 guys that are top 100 in that room? Cody Simon, well, maybe yeah, Cody Simon, Reed Carrico, Gabe Powers, and CJ Hicks. And you would think those are top 100 players. Like when me and Chris did the original breakdown of the roster, I think it was last year, I talked about the top 100 player on defense and how that was lacking. You have 4 in the linebacker room. You tell me you can't have 2 at this point play competently when you've had a guy in the room for 3 years. You had a guy in the room for 4 years. Now you've had 2 guys in the room for 2 years. Like it just seems to me like I don't know.
It
This
feels
this
like the Monstars stole Reed Carrico's powers because we've never seen him. And like we
we just
saw him on tape, and this dude was like flying around with track speed. And then during the spring, we see the measurements come out, and he's like clocked at a lower mile per hour than Jack Sawyer. What
yeah, it's
happened there?
kind of under it's a mystery of where the talent has gone because it's there in the room. We hear about Gabe Powers. He was a freak athlete at his size. So,
We
and we
seen
know,
Gabe Powers backpedaling at fucking 7-on-7 camps like a cornerback, but for some reason, like, can't sniff the field.
yeah, I just don't get what's going on with the development because the talent seems to be there as much as we've missed. I mean, actually, I'm not about to say what I was gonna say, but
Did you just read Chris Drew's comment?
I was gonna
That's what I'm saying. We need some peanut butter and peptide sandwiches in the fucking Woody right now for our linebacker room.
say they need to start to work out with a certain tight end and get them right that's on the roster. So maybe that's what they need, but
We need to
not gonna
start
go there.
champion for Ramon to be the next strength and
Yeah,
conditioning coordinator, bro.
you need Ramo out there, but I just the level of talent to production is insane. I think these two are good, but just not good enough to win a championship in my opinion as it stands right now.
Wait, you
Um,
think they will? You think that their deficiencies are enough to prevent us from winning a championship?
you would think about back to the Georgia game, they were the death mark. I
We
mean,
didn't
they
lose the Georgia game
exposed.
last year because the linebacker play, did we? You think?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy was the mark in the past game. Well, I believe they were 7 for 7 for a touchdown and like 126 yards. I mean, 2, the secondary play, the blunders in the secondary, at least for one play, definitely cost us, and that was the worst of the bunch. But
But that and
consistently
that
with
and that and him running free was just because like they put Lathan, and I don't even put that on Lathan. I put that on the fact that we didn't have anyone else even remotely competent enough to put in that position, that we had to have Lathan in that position, which he wasn't equipped to do and shouldn't have been asked to do. So, I mean, I think it's kind of unfair to blame Lathan for that play, but I feel like it speaks to the deficiencies in talent that we did have in that secondary. I mean, I was just waiting for them to put Jake Seibert in at one point because it was like, try someone, and I know he's playing corner.
Yeah, and Chris put it in the chat when they targeted the linebacker 8 for 8, 155 yards in a touchdown. That was sort of the bailout when they had nothing else. That throw across the middle, the linebackers won't be able to cover, and also Ronnie Hickman would not come down and lay the wood. So it
Oh,
was a bit of a team effort on the deficiency, but the linebackers were definitely a mark, a big mark last year in the Georgia game. And I think we just started to see it when things get similar with talent. I think Tommy is exceptional in the run game. I think the pass game is his deficiency, and it gets played. And Steel Chambers is all over the place. One week he's good, one week he's god awful. So it's inconsistent to where I fear that may be one reason to cost us because people always know if you put a slot or a freaky tight end in there, he's gonna go off. I mean, he's the Cade Stover. Cade Stover always goes off. I don't know if it's because we got guys on the edge and people are just like, well, Cade Stover's just gonna have to beat us, or they just can't guard him. I don't know which one it is at this point, but I feel like
I
it's
will
the
be.
same on the other
I'm gonna be so perplexed if he goes in the first round.
side. he just they
If he
either
goes to the
choose not
Steelers,
to
bro,
guard him.
I'm hanging up my NFL watching jersey. Like, shout out to Cade. I hope he gets the bag, but I'm seeing Cade in first round mock drafts, and I'm just like, you sure about
Yeah,
that?
I don't know which one it is, but whatever one it's working for us. So, man, oh man, but yeah, I'm just thinking eventually it's gonna cost us. It cost us last year at the very end. I think it's gonna cost us.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the chat, bro. I think the chat's doing a better show than we are.
Nah.
They got me cracking up. But the next topic on the list that we got is this a championship caliber defense? We sat here and just criticized our linebacker play, but do you think they're able to be competent enough for this team to win a championship?
Yeah. Also, make sure you like the video.
Yeah,
Make sure
smash
you like
that
the video,
like
man.
button, run it up. We got
6 people
60
in here.
people in here. Let's get it up to 40 likes. That would be appreciated. But do you
Is
think
this
this is a championship caliber defense?
Imma say, yeah, right now. They haven't given up a lot of points, and Chris brought something up earlier when I talked about the pass rush production. Did, Larry shrink the, rotation a little too much? I think he did. I mean, I wanted to see Kenyatta Jackson and Cade Curry in there at least a little bit. I'm like, "This ain't the time to be shrinking shrinking the rotation. You finally got dudes 8 deep. Play your rotation. Go for it." So, yeah, I hope we get more pass rush production out of our D line, but overall, yeah, I think we have the defense to do it. I think we have a little bit of depth there at every position, which helps in case a guy goes down or something. Knock on wood, but I definitely do think we have the defense to do it this season.
I do too. I think our corner play is showing that they have the potential to be elite, and I feel like we're going to be able to get some. I feel like we're about to see an interesting part of the season over these next couple games. I feel like we're going to see a couple guys get in the rotation to see if they're ready to make a jump and contribute in some form. And I think two of those people will be in the secondary on the defense. And I think we're going to see Malik Hartford start getting reps again. And I think we're going to see Jermaine Matthews start rotating in with the corners. And I'm just interested to see. if anyone else is able to become a contributor on that defense before we make it to the playoffs. So I do think this is a championship caliber defense. I think our corner play has been elite. I think Denzel Burke, I mean, just hats off to him for what he was able to do and his commitment in the offseason to come back ready to play. He heard the criticism. He didn't shrink in the moment, but was able to come in fit and really ball out this year. So super proud of what he's been able to do. And I see someone bringing up Larry Johnson in the chat. That's something else that I'm interested to see. I want to see these ends rotate more. I mean, I swear we used to be like, what? What is he doing in there? Like when JJB was running out on the field weighing 195 pounds, it's like, but he's 6'4". It's like he's balling out at Notre Dame now, but Larry Johnson was always down to rotate six deep and put 120-pound defensive end onto the field. Where is Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry? Like, I get the defense played well, but like I don't get them playing every single snap. There's no way you trust you have that much lack of trust in Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson that neither one of them can get on the field. And I feel like that you mean to tell me you think the that playing Jack and JTT for every snap of the game is going to improve their pass rush win rate? It doesn't make any sense. These guys have to be tired out there playing
Yeah.
absolutely every play, especially when Ryan Day's running tempo, Travion Henderson scoring on the first play of drives. His defense isn't getting a ton of rest. So to think that we weren't rotating at that edge was kind of weird for me. But overall, I do think this is a championship caliber defense, and I think they're going to try to find ways to continue and improve over the next couple weeks as the games become. I feel like Ryan Day said, the first couple games were like a preseason. Now we have the first big game of the season that we were able to get through, and now I think it's like a little bit more experimentation, and they continue to find out about themselves as this team continues to grow.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see us play those guys because that'll tell you more so what you need to know than the next, I don't know, 3, 4, probably till the Penn State game will tell you of you finally get a big time game. You got these sophomores in here who've had a year in the program. They've shown flashes. You got, throw them out there for at least a couple plays and see like, okay, are they going to walk into the spotlight or I'm going to have to hide them a little bit when we get into bigger games or not play them. So we'll love to see them at least get an opportunity. Didn't get much at all, so I don't know what you're gonna learn from them, at a Rutgers or I guess at a Maryland game. I mean, maybe a little bit because Maryland's gonna draw back and throw the ball, but I would have loved to see him in this big time game, at least get a little burn. It'd be like, all right, what do we have? So I'm with you there. The defensive ends, especially with getting no sacks, it's a little bit painful. It's a little bit painful. I want to see our defensive ends go off, man. I'm just what I'm used to. The defensive lines of 2017, 2018, when they just went crazy. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely a little upset with Larry on that front. But the defense overall, I think they're ready to go.
Absolutely. You have some other notes in the chat that you wanted to get to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
So I actually wanted to talk about, and I think we're here, zone 6 a little bit. So zone 6, obviously the big matchup on Saturday. Notre Dame, I thought, got the edge of them. I thought they were better. I thought they were better in their secondary, where wide receiver, and that is my question. Marv and Julian kind of struggled there. Marv only 3 catches, 32 yards. Yeah, we should have targeted him more. He had 1 catch where we all think it was a catch, and apparently the rest didn't. So that probably would have been like 4 for like 50 something, 60 some yards. But they struggled, man, and, with this big matchup, does that give you any concern? I mean, Kyle is young, he's probably missed some guys, so hurts a little bit there, but does that give you some concern about zone 6 when we get into these bigger games? We got secondaries coming up that are real. So that's my question. What do you think about zone 6 coming in?
No, I just think we're not getting them the ball. I feel like when we go back and watch the all 22, we're going to see guys open again when it mattered most. We seen Marv get a huge catch. We seen Emeka make huge catches. I felt like Emeka had a solid game, and I feel like he's starting to get in the swing of things. I feel like a lot of people are constantly comparing Kyle to Georgia's CJ, which isn't fair. That's year 2 CJ. Played almost 20 something games at that point in time. We see the way CJ's balling out in the NFL. Like, Kyle's never going to be able to be CJ. And what he was able to do with those receivers last year was an exception, not the rule. So I feel like it's just going to take Kyle time to get more comfortable with these receivers. I feel like when we watch the All 22, we're going to see throws that he missed. But I mean, that's part of having a young quarterback. And in the moment, I would rather have him miss throws than doing too much this early. And I feel like he did what he needed to do. He came in and he got the win for us. So I feel like, again, over these next couple weeks before the Penn State game, we'll continue to see this offense evolve. And I feel like Kyle will hit these guys more. Like, I mean, we've seen Marvin Harrison Jr. go crazy before. I don't care who the quarterback is. You're not going to tell me that anyone in the country just strapped Marv up for the entire first quarter and we couldn't get him the ball. I feel like there needs to be concerted effort to get Marv the ball earlier and get him established. But overall, I think zone 6 is fine. Julian's out there blocking his ass off. XJ was able to come in the game and make plays. So, the guy, I mean, it's next man up. The guys are ready behind them. And I would imagine that's keeping the rest of the room hungry because, I mean, you have 4 of the best freshman wide receivers in the country buried on this depth chart. So I would imagine they're grinding their faces off, trying to show that they deserve to get on the field. And while the other guys that are on the field are doing everything to keep them from getting on the field as far as keeping their play high. So I think zone 6 is fine. I think we're just watching the growing pains of having a first-year starter at quarterback. And I feel like they're doing a lot of experimentation and just getting still evolving this offense and figuring out what this offense looks like in Kyle's image. Because, I mean, yes, it's always been the Ryan Day's offense, but they've all had its own unique look depending on who the quarterback is. Ryan Day's Dwayne Haskins offense did not look the same as Justin Fields' offense, and Justin Fields didn't look the same as CJ Stroud's. And we're still learning who Kyle is, and I feel like that's affecting the wide receivers. And I think over the next couple weeks, we will see those guys get back in the swing of things.
No, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I'm not worried about Marvin in the least bit. I know in the times he needs to get open, he'll get open. I'm just hoping Ryan Day schemes him up a little more. Julian is an interesting case. He has blocked extremely well and provides a lot in the run game. In the pass game, I worry. I just feel like he never, never really gets open. Like I even reviewing, it's always like Kyle trying to throw it up to him, and he's got a guy like blanketing him. He's always there. So I do wonder there. Maybe we can hit a little bit of a rotation. And I wouldn't mind us more like we do with Xavier Johnson, scheme Julian up a little bit. When you get the ball in his hand, I mean, he's an athlete, super fast, big physical guy, can run after the catch. I just would prefer to scheme him up a little bit, like the crosser route we ran. It wasn't too much effect, but something sort of that just to make sure we get him open and can use his skills in the open field. So also, I would love to see Carnell Tate somehow enter this room. I would love to see Jaden Ballard run a deep route eventually. I want to see a little bit more to help Marvin and Mecca because they are gonna get the lion's share of the defensive scheme, and it's gonna make it tough for them.
I want to get to Chris's question before we get to our winners and losers. Should we go back to the Dwayne Haskins offense with Kyle? Kyle said that he saw a lot of himself in Dwayne, and that's one of the reasons why he committed here. But me and Chris talked about this a little bit yesterday. I don't think we have the weapons necessary to run the Dwayne Haskins style offense. We don't have a KJ Hill and Paris Campbell as far as those slot, and I think Emeka is a great slot, but I think he's a better Z. And those safe over the middle throws, I feel like KJ Hill was just Dwayne's safety blanket. And like anytime like it wasn't there and Dwayne couldn't just chuck it downfield, it was like, oh, there's KJ Hill streaking across the middle, and now he just took that 40, 50 yards. So I think if we had a more dynamic, and maybe that's an XJ, I feel like BI really fits that role, Brandon Ennis, but I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity. So I'm interested to see what this offense ends up looking like at Kyle's peak, because I don't know if we necessarily have the weapons that fit that style of offense. What about you?
I mean, I don't know, man. You look at this wide receiver room. I mean, it's definitely enough weapons out there. I mean, we don't have the game breaker of excuse me, good Lord, of Paris Campbell. Sorry, we don't have the game breaker of Paris Campbell, but we don't allow the game breaker of Paris Campbell. Like if Paris Campbell walks in this room, he's like, "Yo, guys, y'all try to give me the ball? Nah, bro, you too fast. Go sit down." So I feel like we do. We just haven't used them. I mean, Xavier Johnson, I love bringing him in and scheming up for him and getting him into the open field because he's really good when you do that. Jaden Ballard had showed some light on the punt where it's like, okay, he's a little bit dynamic. Nope, not here. You're not. So I just don't know. It's so pro style and such a Cade, Marv, a Mecca game that it really doesn't allow for anybody else to come in and add a little bit of different dynamic to the room. So I feel like we just tried that and winged it out there. Yeah, we probably have the roster to do it, but will they do it? Probably not.
So before we get out of here, I know we titled the show Winners and Losers, and I feel like this game, we just have so much to talk about. We really haven't been able to get to them, but let's jump into our winners and losers. Q, give me your 3 winners and tell me which one was the biggest winner and why.
So I had 3. First one up was Kyle McCord, obviously, big time game. Second up was Ryan Day. It was a lot because of his post game
The
speech.
way he stomped on Lou Holtz.
He really brought the heat there. And then Perry Eliano was my third one with just the safety play. I mean, I told y'all about Josh Proctor. He's backed me up. Pat myself on the back for that one. But him and Lathan Ransom have been playing extremely well. They've been awesome. So those guys, the biggest winner leaving out of that game, I have to give it to Perry Eliano. I mean, I understand Kyle McCord. He was up and down a little bit, has a win at the end. Ryan Day, Lou Holtz called him soft, and sort of parts of that game we looked soft. Perry Eliano, he never flinched. You know what I'm saying? His safeties came down, laid the wood, didn't give up a catch that I remember. So he's my winner coming out of the game. So shout out Perry Eliano.
So my winners are, let me pull my list up here. I have Jim Knowles, because like our guy Chris Drew said, he went to Blitzers Anonymous, and it seems like he has fixed. We did not see a relapse on Saturday. I got our guy Tony Alford and Denzel Burke. And while I'd like to go on a Denzel Burke rant here, I got to continue to give flowers to our guy Tony Alford. We saw Trey be Trey, and a lot of people questioned his rotations. I know in the spaces people were calling for Chip the rest of the game, and then Trey comes out and proves why he still gets in the game and is able to crib a 60-yard run. I think Tony Alford absolutely deserves a raise, and I will be protesting out in front of the Woody if he is not making more, and by more I mean significantly more than Parker Fleming by the end of the year. I'm going to be out. Krusty Krab is unfair. Mr. Krabs is in there. Like, we got to get our guy Tony Alford paid, because what he was able to do with that room is nothing short than spectacular. And even with the recruiting misses, he's still been able to stack the room, because I don't think I haven't heard one person say, man, after Trey and Chip are gone, we're screwed at running back. Like, our room is deep and it's performing. So hats off to Tony Alford. I think he is the biggest winner from Saturday. How about your losers, Q?
Losers. I was about to read your list. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Losers is obviously.
What kind of shit is that? I think my losers make perfect sense. We'll let
No,
the
I
chat
was
decide.
still on your winners. So I looked down. I was like, Jim Knowles, that doesn't make sense. Why would he be a loser? Why'd I write that? But I did. Let me see. Linebackers were definitely a loser here. I thought they were by far the worst I've seen them in a while. I can't iterate that enough. Defensive ends a bit. They weren't bad in the game. I'm not gonna say they were. Just this was the time to come up and show like you might be first round picks. They didn't or they kind of held them in check in the pass rush a bit, but solid in the run game. JT made some plays in the game, so not a big time loser. But as far as the matchup goes, I believe they lost their matchup. And then wide receivers just a bit. Marv held in check a bit. I mean, Mecca has a drop in the end zone. Yeah, he did get hurt. So, but not the
I don't
worst.
really know if that's a game plan for other teams. Like, you know how to really stop Mars, stomp on his ankle,
yeah, roll up on him, and he'll go to the sideline, and all that. But the other wide receivers a little bit struggled, so I'll put them, but I think they will get better.
So I also have the linebackers as our losers. I think they played a rough game. I hope to see them bounce back. I don't know if where they're going to find like a jar of elite athleticism before the end of the year, but hopefully they find that somewhere. I have Marcus Freeman, former Buckeye, as a loser. 10 players on the field to end the game for 2 straight plays. So Chris brought it up on the Bleacher Report show yesterday. He's like, the 2 guys that should have been in the game, they had to have been looking at each other like, if you don't say anything, I won't say anything. Like, I should be out there. Like, they had to have had complete panic knowing that they should have been on the field. Like, he was like, you think anyone was like looking at, like, if that would have been the Buckeyes in reverse, like someone looking at JTT, like, hey, I think you should be out there, bro. Just not having an 11th man on the field was crazy. But then there was still 1 second left on the clock, and he almost got out of the game without being criticized, without fucking anything up, and said, hold my beer. And Parker Fleming said, you can't forget about me. Watch me kick the ball out of bounds and not be able to execute a squib kick and continue to show my incompetence as a special teams coordinator. What was that on the last play of the game other than Parker Fleming continuing to show why he is an awful coach? And everybody's like, well, Parker Fleming can't go out there and kick the ball. No, he can't. But he has a whole week of working with just specialists, not recruiting that, bro, we should have the best kick coverage, the best punt coverage, the sickest field goal kicker ever, the greatest onside kicker, the best squib kicks. Like, if we're going to pay you $500,000 fucking dollars, we should be able to execute a squib kick when it matters. And that was just, again, continuing to show his incompetence as a coach. And, I mean, he should be on the cover of Money Heist for the amount of money he's stealing from the Ohio State University in the state of Ohio.
Well, it's actually an unknown stat that they had a less chance of scoring from the 35 than they did from the 25. They had kicked it out the back of the end zone. So Parker Fleming knew that. So he was like, yeah, just squib it right out of bounds. They go on 35 and they only have a 0.4% chance of scoring because they would have 2% on the 25-yard line. So there's your explanation.
Parker Fleming, a math guy.
Yeah, he's just ahead of the game. We're just catching up.
You just don't get it. But no, that's all I had. I mean, we had to get to our sponsored segment before we got out of here, and we made sure to fire Parker Fleming before the end of the episode. Shout out to our sponsors that pay us to do that every episode. So, Q, I know you got to get to work. You're a working man now. Got to get to the railroad. So tell us where people can find. Tell us where people can find you before we get out of here.
Well, don't forget, I do want to plug this because we never do. We do have audio. So if you don't have a chance to watch us live or you're at work and can't have a big TV with our faces on it, do pull up the audio. Go ahead and let that play. That is where all podcasts are found. If you want to find me, so your boy Quentin on Twitter, it's not hard to find. Find it Johnson on Instagram and Minor League Films on both TikTok and YouTube. Put up a little content lately, not commentary, a little content lately. So go ahead and check that out.
If you want to find me, you could find me at 2Ts on Twitter. That's 2_TEES. That's the same thing on Twitch, and it's 2Shiesty on Twitter. No, it's not 2Shiesty on Twitter. It's on TikTok. We're also simulcasting all the shows on Twitter. So if you miss them live here on YouTube, you can catch them on my Twitter feed, and you can watch them live right in the Twitter app. You can find us inside the Bleacher Report Ohio State team stream. We'll be in there for the rest of the month. Fans Edge tomorrow, college football pregame show, Dogs Film Room, content. Make sure that you're tapped in. We are like 30 subscribers away from 5,000. So if your dog has a YouTube channel, make sure he's subscribed. Your kids, make sure they're subscribed. All your family members, friends, tweet that out, do your best Doreen impression, and put us on the timeline and help us get to 5K. Q said he will shave his head down to a 0, a straight baldy, if you guys get us to 5K by the end of the day. So if we can get to 5K subs by the end of the day, Q will have a bald head on the show tomorrow. So make sure you smash that like button, share this video, and let people know if they subscribe to the channel. Q will be bald on tomorrow's episode.
A lot of Qs on Twitter that probably are bald. So yeah,
I would do it, but I'm already bald, hence the cap.
Yeah, this is a wig. So
But that's all we got here, man. We appreciate everyone pulling up here to the Buckeye Roast. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe on the video. And we appreciate you guys pulling up. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8 something. I'm not making any promises. Have a good one. Go Bucks and OH.
My